When she was a girl, the cave had smelled of wet earth and rot and something older than both, and Cersei had thought she could hold her breath long enough that none of it would touch her. She remembered her hand in Jaime's, both of them with torches, Miriel fluttering behind like a nervous moth. The world had seemed narrow and clean then. The keep above, the woods, the sea, the line of her life stretching out like a golden road with no stones upon it. The witch had lived in the dark like a root. Her skin had hung from her bones like dead bark. Her eyes had been the worst, yellow and flat, like something that had seen too much and found it all beneath her notice. "You will marry the king," Maggie had said, old lips shaping young doom. "But you will be queen for a time. Then comes another, younger and more beautiful, to cast you down and take all that you hold dear." Cersei had swallowed fury at that. She had almost walked out then, almost left the old woman to her worms and her candles. But pride had kept her rooted. Pride, and the word Valonqar, spoken in that reedy, rasping voice, like a knife sliding between ribs. "And when your tears have drowned you," Maggie had finished, smiling with brown teeth, "the Valonqar shall wrap his hands about your pale white throat and choke the life from you. Valonqar, little brother." The word had burned itself into her bones. Years later, she woke with it on her tongue. She sat up in the dark with her heart hammering against her breastbone, the silk of her shift clinging damply to her skin. For a moment she did not know where she was. The bed was too vast, the room too shadowed, the air too full of the smell of ash and spilled wine and perfumed candles gone cold. Then her hand found the carved lion's head at the edge of the mattress, and the world arranged itself again around her name. Cersei, Queen. The red keep sighed in its sleep beyond her walls, stone cooling, banners shifting softly as if the castle itself dreamed. The city lay below, a sprawl of roofs and alleys and sleeping misery. Somewhere in that blackness the bells hung silent in their towers, like teeth in old jaws. In her dream she had been in the cave again, but it had not been the girl's dream she had known so many times before. This time Maggie had stood aside, and something else had risen from the pool of black water at the cave's heart. Not a witch, not a woman, a shadow, tall and antlered as if crowned with dead trees, its form made of mist and smoke and remembered screams. It had taken the word Valonqar from Maggie's mouth and swallowed it whole, then breathed it back out in 100 voices at once. Little brother, little brother, little brother. Each voice had belonged to someone she knew. Tyrion spitting it like mockery, Jaime murmuring it like apology, Joffrey shrieking it in that high, petulant tone, Tommen whispering it as if it were a prayer. Their hands had closed around her throat, one after another, gold and white and purple spotted, small and large, each grip different, each ending the same. She touched her neck now. Her skin was smooth, unmarked. Her pulse fluttered beneath her fingers like something trapped, looking for a way out. The fire in the hearth had sunk to coals. Shadows pooled in the corners of the room. For years she had banished mirrors from her chambers, hating the ways they could show her weakness, the faint lines at the corners of her eyes, the tension at her mouth. Tonight, the lack of them felt suddenly foolish. She wanted to see herself to make sure she was still solid, still here. She swung her legs from the bed and stood barefoot on the cold stone. No sound came from Jaime's old chamber beyond the wall. He had left months ago, turning his back on her with his cloak heavy on his shoulders and his golden hand glinting like a mockery of sunlight. He had not returned. "You left me too?" she thought, staring at the closed door. "First father, then the children, then you. All of you." But the witch's words stay. She moved to the window instead. She threw back the shutters and leaned into the night. King's Landing spread below her, a dark sea pricked with guttering points of fire. The moon was low and pale over Blackwater Bay. Far beyond the city walls the river wound like a dull silver knife, and further still were the roads that led to everywhere that was not here. Cersei gripped the stone and breathed in the cold air until some of the panic left her chest. She had always hated the way the prophecy could ambush her. Men she could see, could count, could weigh and measure and strike down. words spoken so long ago she could not strike back at. They waited for her in sleep and silence both. She had tried pretending they meant nothing. She had tried pretending they meant something else. Now, watching the city that was hers and hers alone, she felt something inside her shifting. No more pretending. If prophecy was a knife at her throat, she could at least seize it by the blade. Her fingers tightened on the stone. In the courtyard below, she saw torchlight move as the Knights Guards changed places. A brief shifting of patterns on a board she knew too well. In the great hall they had hung new banners, lions everywhere, as if cloth could make up for the absence of all those who had once made the house more than a sigil. You will be queen for a time. She was past that, surely. Her time stretched out longer than the witch's bitter tongue might have liked. They had come to tear her down more than once. Stannis at the Blackwater, Marjorie with her flowers and her simpering smile, Tyrion with his clever plans, that barefoot zealot from Flea Bottom and his pious rabble. She stood still. She had burned and broken each of them. Younger and more beautiful. Let the dead which chew on ashes. Across the sea there was talk of a girl with dragons. In the north there was a bastard playing at king in the snow. Dorne sulked, the Reach bled, the Reverla. NDS smoldered. Men made a Game of Thrones out of her life and the lives of her children. She had won enough rounds to know that victory went not to the just, nor the noble, nor the strong, but to the one who saw furthest. Saw. Her heart gave a small, ugly skip at the word. In the distance, beyond the river and the charred remains of old siege camps, she could just make out, by starlight, the vague hump of the hill beneath which Maggie's cave had once yawned. Cersei had not been back since she was a girl. She had told herself that witches were for small folk and fools, that Lannisters made their own futures. Still, the dream clung to her, cold and damp as cave air. "Summon Qyburn," she said into the dark. The shadows did not reply. Of course they wouldn't. She was alone here. She had dismissed her serving women hours ago. Cersei set her jaw and went herself. The corridors of the Red Keep were mostly empty at this hour. The occasional guard stiffened and bowed as she passed, faces yellow in torchlight. She walked without haste because queens did not run, but each step came a heartbeat faster than the last, as if some part of her feared that if she stopped the dream would catch up and swallow her whole. Qyburn's chambers lay near the old maester's rookery, in a tower that had once stank of bird droppings and stale parchment and was now full of stranger scents. Dried herbs, boiled bones, the sharp, metallic tang of old blood. He answered her knock quickly, as if expecting it. His hair had thinned to wisps, but his eyes were as sharp as ever, pale as fish belly. He wore a simple dun robe, but there was a smear of something dark down one sleeve, and his hands were not clean. "Your Grace," he said, bowing, mouth corking in something that might have been a smile on a less corpse-like face. "I did not expect you this night, but I am always honored." "You don't sleep, do you?" Cersei said, slipping past him into the room. "I have found, Your Grace, that the dead are poor company for dreams. Better to use the hours they no longer need." The chamber was cluttered with his tools. Glass jars filled shelves. Cloudy liquids with unidentifiable things floating in them. Powders like mold, twists of plant roots. A raven slept in one wicker cage, its head under its wing. Another stared at her with a bright, intelligent eye. On a table near the fire lay something covered with cloth. Its outline was unmistakably human. She did not ask. Things Qyburn did in her name were useful. Better not to probe too closely where usefulness came from. "I had a dream," she said instead. He tilted his head. "Many do, Your Grace. This one was about the witch." "Ah!" His eyes lit with interest. "Maggie. I have always regretted that she died before I came to King's Landing. The accounts of her sight are instructive." Cersei remembered the way Maggie's dead body had looked when they found it years later in a ditch. Throat opened, flies thick on the wound. She had not ordered the killing herself, but men seeking her favor had done so all the same. It had not made the words go away. "Instructive?" she echoed, tasting scorn and curiosity both. How did you hear of her? The court talks even when it should not, Qyburn said pleasantly. Some of the ladies who once attended your grace have long memories. I make it my business to listen, especially when the past and its omens are concerned. She paced away from him, the hem of her shift whispering over the rushes on the floor. Is there anyone alive who can do what she did? She asked abruptly. See, she clarified when he stayed silent. Look ahead. Reach into the dark and drag the truth out, whether it wishes to come or no. Truth, Qyburn said softly, is a slipperier thing than most suppose. What is true in one moment may not be in another. The future, especially, is a trickster. Still, he touched his chin. There are arts, your grace, old ones, some even older than the faith stories. There are those who burn offerings to the Lord of Light and claim to see in his flames. There are tales of warlocks in Karth who drink shade of the evening and dream of what is yet to be. In Old Town, they speak of glass candles that once burned bright enough to show a man visions clear across the narrow sea. It may be that the time for such things is returning. He said it almost with satisfaction. Returning, Cersei repeated. Her mind leaped quick as a hawk. Because the dragons are back. Qyburn spread his hands. So some say. Some, she said and smiled thinly. You mean all. I may not have seen them with my own eyes, but word travels faster than ships. 3 dragons hatched from stone, a girl who walks through fire. It seems the rules we have lived by no longer apply. Magic, Qyburn said, tasting the word like a strange spice. Where dragons walk, it stirs. Forgotten things remember themselves. Old oaths itch. And prophecies wake? She asked. If they ever slept, he said. The thought made something inside her clench. The witch's words had never slept. They had coiled themselves in the marrow of her days. In moments of triumph, they whispered of endings. In moments of fear, they howled. You are clever, she said, turning on him. Cleverer than any maester and less bound by their chains. If there is a way to see further than other men, you will find it. Do so. I want. She hesitated. Saying it aloud would make it real in a way the dream had not been. I want to know, she forced out. Not just what that old crone spat at me when I was a girl. I want to know all of it. The truth beneath the words. The shape of what is coming. Qyburn's gaze sharpened. You wish to look into the future, your grace? Directly. You just told me others have done so, she said. Why should they have such weapons and not me? I am queen of the 7 kingdoms. For a time, something in her thought mocking. She stamped on it. And, she added, her voice going ow and dangerous. I will not have my fate in the hands of any priest or warlock. If seeing is to be done, I will do it myself. An oracle queen, Qyburn murmured, almost to himself. It would be unprecedented. But the world grows stranger each year. There are routes we might take. Then take them, Cersei snapped. Whatever they cost. Gold, blood, men. I care nothing. Only bring me what I ask for. Qyburn's mouth curved. As your grace commands, he said. There is, as it happens, a possibility I have been considering. When the city was sacked and the dragon skulls broken, not all their fragments were destroyed. Some found their way into private collections. One such fragment came into my hands recently. Bone that has known Dragonfire remembers it. If combined with certain other elements, glass from the east, wildfire from beneath the city, the blood of one touched by true prophecy. He let the words hang there, bait. Cersei felt a shiver run along her arms. You think you can build me a window into what is to come? Call it a lens, Qyburn said. A focus. The power would not be mine. It would channel itself through the one whose blood binds it. The more strongly prophecy clings to them, the clearer the sight might be. Whose blood? Cersei repeated. Mine. You were marked by Maggie, he said with reassuring blandness. And you stand at the heart of so many currents. A queen, a lion, mother to a dead king, sister to kingslayers, wife to a dead stag, rival to a dragon queen. You are a knot in the skein of the world, your grace. If the future may be seen at all, it will tangle around you. The idea of being a knot in anything's skein offended some stubborn pride in her. She thought of herself as the hand on the thread, not the knot in it. But she could not deny the logic. What must be done? She asked. Preparations, Qyburn said, half smiling. Some materials must be gathered. There is a man in Pentos who deals in certain Eastern glasses, a few casks from the Alchemist's Guild's reserves, and, of course, a place where we will not be disturbed. The depths beneath the Red Keep are honeycombed with forgotten chambers. I will find one suitable. And my blood, she said. We will not take more than your grace can spare, Qyburn said with that mild, maddening courtesy. You may feel a moment's weakness. It will pass. What you gain will far outweigh what is lost. You have lost so much already, something whispered inside her. But those losses had been stolen, snatched from her hands without her consent. This she would give. There was a difference. Do it, she said. Begin at once. At once, Qyburn agreed. Though I must counsel patience as well, your grace. Working with such forces is delicate. Rushing may cause the future to recoil. We will need a few days. Nights full of dreams and the witch's laughing mouth. Cersei lifted her chin. Then hurry, she said. He bowed her out, already half turned toward his books. In the corridor again, the air felt thicker somehow, as if the castle itself were listening. You're mad, her father's voice said coolly from the back of her mind. Tywin Lannister had never believed in prophecies, except the ones he made with gold and steel. You would trust your life to tricks of blood and fire? I trust it to nothing, she thought savagely at the ghost. Least of all to you, who left me to clean up the mess you made of everything. Yet even as she thought it, she felt that same ghost linger. Her father had been many things, but blind was not one of them. Had he not, in his way, been his own kind of oracle, seeing further down the corridors of power than any of his rivals? He had not seen his own death on the privy, though. No one had. Cersei allowed herself a small, humorless smile. If she could look ahead, she would not die on a privy. If she could look ahead, she would not die by any little brother's hands. She would see the path and step off it. And if the world tried to drag her back, she would set it on fire. The chamber Qyburn chose lay deep beneath the Red Keep, in a part of the cellars the Lannisters had not yet reclaimed from the Targaryens' ghosts. Men said the old kings had kept beasts in these depths, or worse. The air was heavy, damp, and cold, the walls slick with condensation. Rusted chains hung from iron rings. There were stains on the stone that no one had bothered to scrub away. Cersei came alone save for Qyburn. Her guards waited at the top of the stairs, far above. If anything went wrong, they would be of little use anyway. Torches smoked in brackets along the walls, guttering when drafts found them. At the room's center, a heavy table had been set up, with a circle of symbols drawn around it in some brownish substance that dried to a matte crust. Glass lay on the table, a shallow bowl fashioned of some dark substance that caught the torchlight and twisted it into oily colors. That, Qyburn said with a certain pride, is fused sand from the shores of Ass High. It does not break. The Dragon Lords used such glass at the mouths of their glass candles, or so I have read. The bowl rested on a tripod of black metal. Beneath it stood a low brazier of coals. Cersei eyed the bowl. And my blood goes into that. Some, Qyburn said, along with water from the Blackwater, a pinch of powdered dragon bone, and a drop of wildfire quickly quenched. The conflagration will be contained, so long as the bowl does not crack. You just told me it cannot. In theory, he said cheerfully. Shall we put that to the test? He had brought a small iron knife. Its blade was clean, its hilt bound in leather. Your hand, your grace? Her skin prickled. She thought of Tyrion's eyes on her when he had asked if Maggie's words still haunted her. She thought of Jaime's hands on her, once soft and sure and warm. She thought of tiny fingers that had once curled around her own. Valonqar. She extended her hand. The knife bit, quick and sharp. Blood welled, bright as rubies in the torchlight. Qyburn cupped her hand for a moment, letting a few drops fall into a waiting vial, then moved it over the bowl and let more splash onto the dark glass. It steamed when it hit, as if the bowl drank it. Qyburn added water from a skin, a thin trickle that hissed when it met the blood. He took up a twisted vial of some pale powder and tapped a measure in dragon bone, ground so fine it was almost smoke. Finally, from a lead-stoppered flask, he coaxed a single drop of wildfire. It fell like liquid emerald, and where it struck the mixture flared, sending up a brief tongue of green flame. Cersei flinched, despite herself. Qyburn was watching the bowl avidly. "Do you hear that?" he murmured. She heard only the crackle of the coals. He smiled. "Of course not. But I think, Your Grace, that the world heard you." The mixture in the bowl settled, slowly, into a rippling surface that was neither quite liquid nor quite flame. Colors moved beneath it: green, gold, black, violet. The reflections of the torches seemed to stretch down and down, as if into some impossible depth. "Now what?" Cersei asked. "Now," Qyburn said. "You look." She wanted to laugh at the simplicity of it. Instead, she stepped forward until the bowl's rim was almost level with her eyes. The stuff within had no scent she could detect. The coals glowed red beneath, untouched. She could see her face in the surface, warped by its faint motion. For a heartbeat, she saw herself as she had been at 15. Bright and flawless, hair like sunlight, eyes full of weapons yet unsheathed. Then that image smudged and was gone, replaced by the woman she was now. Sharper, hollower at the cheeks, beauty honed thin as a blade. "I see myself," she said, annoyed. Qyburn's hand brushed her elbow. "Look deeper, Your Grace. You carry the witch's touch. Call to it, as if it were a dog." But perhaps it was. Perhaps it had followed her all her life. That old woman's words, that word Valonqar, trotting at her heels. Perhaps it only needed to be summoned properly. Cersei drew a breath. She thought of the cave's darkness, of the taste of Maggie's finger in her mouth, of the way the witch's blood had smelled when the men cut her throat. She thought of the word in the old woman's mouth. She thought of all the nights she had woken thinking invisible hands pressed on her throat. "Valonqar," she whispered. The bowl's surface shuddered. The colors beneath twisted together into something like an eye, lidless and black. For an instant, Cersei saw herself reflected in it, tiny and defiant. Then she fell, not in body. Her feet stayed planted, her hands on the table's edge. But the room dropped away, and the coals and Qyburn, and the torches, all peeling back like scenery in a mummer's show. Cold rushed up to meet her. She was in the cave again. The air was wet and heavy, beaded on her skin. Her torch guttered, threatening to go out. Shadows lay thick on the walls, shaped like beasts she half recognized. The pool of dark water waited at the cave's center, still as glass. "Back again, little lion," Maggie's voice croaked from behind her. Cersei turned. The witch was as she remembered. Leathery, stooped, eyes like old piss. But there was something else behind her now, a presence that made the shadows quiver. Antlers in the dark, the memory of the dream's figure. "I killed you," Cersei said. Maggie cackled, showing her rotten teeth. "You did not. Men with knives did, eager to please you. But I am older than one skin, older than one name. I am every witch men ever went to in secret, and every whisper that follows them home." "Then you're nothing," Cersei said. "You're fear. You're a story we tell ourselves when we want to be cowards." "Bold," Maggie approved. "You always were. That's why I answered you when you came. That's why you're here now." "I came to see," Cersei said. "Not to be lectured." "Always the queen," Maggie said. "Even when you were only a girl. Tell me, little lioness, did my words not come true? Did you not marry the king? Were you not queen? Did your golden babes not die as I said?" Cersei's throat closed. She saw Joffrey's face, lips purple and eyes bulging. Myrcella's restful stillness on that ship, the faint trickle of blood from her nose. Tommen's body tumbling from the tower, a pale, small shape falling forever. "Words can be twisted," she said, her voice like iron scraping stone. "Joffrey would have died anyway, poison or sword or foolishness. Myrcella was far from me. Tommen." She stopped. In the cave's heavy air, she could hear the faint scrape of boots on stone, as if someone were coming up behind her. For a mad moment she thought it would be Tommen, small and shy, clinging to her skirts. But the step was too steady, too measured. Jaime, she thought. The presence behind Maggie stirred. The antlers shifted, scraping the cave roof. It was taller now, more solid, made of coiling smoke and glints of gold and green. When it spoke, the voice came in all the tones from her dream. "Little brother," it said. "Little and little and little. Show me," Cersei snapped. "If you must haunt me with this word, show me its face. I will not cower from shadows. I am a lion. I do not run from anything." "You run from the truth," Maggie said. "Truth," Cersei said, "is what I make people believe, nothing more." "Then see what you have made," Maggie said and gestured. The cave shook itself inside out. She was in the throne room. The iron throne loomed above her, all jagged shadow and cold iron teeth. It was empty. The red and gold banners that had once draped the pillars were gone. In their place hung rags of black and white and gray, like cobwebs left by dead spiders. Cersei sat below the dais, on the cold stone floor, her back against one of the pillars. Her hands were bound before her. The rope was rough and dug into her wrists. Her throat ached. She lay head down and saw the marks, purple and ugly, blooming like bruised roses. A hand lay on her shoulder. It was heavy, familiar. "Look at me," Jaime said. She raised her head. He knelt before her, his golden hand clamped around her throat. His green eyes were full of grief and horror and a terrible, stubborn love. Behind him stood the city, visible through the shattered windows. Flames and ash and black snow. "I don't want to," he said, voice breaking. "You know I don't." "You have to," she heard herself rasp. Her voice sounded like it had been dragged over broken glass. "You have always done what had to be done." "Not this," he whispered. "Not you." Tears burned her eyes. She forced them down. "Then we both die," her voice said, hoarse. "And the rest with us. Is that what you want, little brother?" He flinched at the word. "Please," he said, "don't make me." "For once," she said, and managed something like a smile. "You will do as I command." His fingers tightened. The vision blurred, slipped, shattered. She was in another room now, smaller, hung with rich tapestries. A girl stood before her. A girl with dark gold hair and black eyes, wearing a gown of green. Marjorie. No, not Marjorie. Someone younger, sharper, with a crown of roses and thorns both. "You thought it would be me," the girl said sweetly. "Younger and more beautiful. All those years you glared at me across the hall, as if I were a shadow thrown by your candle. Did it never occur to you that beauty comes in more shapes than one?" Cersei drew breath to answer, to spit poison, but the girl was gone. In her place stood Tyrion, grinning around a goblet. "Little brother," he said, and raised the cup in mock salute. Chains coiled around his wrists, yet he held himself as if they were decoration. Valonqar, such a small word to rule such a large life. He stepped forward. The goblet was gone. His hands came up, so small compared to Jaime's. They closed around her throat. "You always thought it would be me, didn't you?" he said, his thumbs pressing in. "It's flattering, in a way, that I mattered so much to you. More than father. More than that drunken stag they married you to. More than any of your pretty nights." Her vision darkened. His face swam, blurred, shifted, and became another's. Tommen, her sweet boy, tears running down his cheeks, arms shaking. "I don't want to, mother," he whispered. "I know," she heard herself say, though her throat should not have been able to shape words. But you must. A king must do hard things for his people. His hands tightened. The world flickered, broke again. She saw 100 throats. Her own, in different rooms under different skies with different hands around it. Gold, white, small, calloused, clean. She died in shadow, in sunlight, in firelight, under snow. She died in the throne room, in her bed, in the street. She died to Jaime, to Tyrion, to Tommen, to some half-seen figure she could not name. Each death felt real. Each death felt final. Each time, as the last breath left her, she saw the city. In some futures it burned green, wildfire, blooming like poisonous flowers, consuming streets and people alike. In others it burned red, dragon fire washing over rooftops while a shape moved through smoke, vast and terrible. In some it lay buried under snow and silence, black shapes moving through the drifts with pale blue eyes. In a few, so few, she saw it still standing, battered but solid, the bells tolling slow and grave, the river running free of corpses. In every path where she clung to life past the moment the hands closed around her throat, the city ended in one of the first two ways. In every path where she died when the prophecy demanded, the few futures where the city survived remained possible. She clutched at them, mind scrabbling for purchase, but they were like smoke through her fingers. Her heart pounded, her throat burnt with phantom bruises. It went on, deaths layering over deaths, as if the world delighted in killing her in every way it could imagine. At last she screamed. The cave snapped away. She staggered back from the bowl, falling hard against the edge of the table. The room whirled around her. Stone, torch, Qyburn's pale face. The torchlight stabbed her eyes. Her knees buckled. The only thing that kept her from collapsing was Qyburn's hand under her elbow. "Your Grace," he said. His voice came from far away. "Breathe." She realized she was clawing at her throat. Her fingers met unbroken skin. No bruises, no rope burn. Her lungs dragged in air like a drowning woman. "It was real," she croaked. Qyburn tilted his head. "What did you see?" She wanted to snap at him, to tell him it was none of his concern, but the images still reeled through her. She needed to fix them with words or they would devour her. "Hands," she said. "Little hands. Big ones. Gold." She squeezed her eyes shut, trying to steady the fragments. "My death. Many versions of it. Always the same and never the same. Prophecy is like that," Qyburn murmured. "When it brushes mortal minds, it leaves more questions than answers." He eased her to a chair. Her legs were trembling. "Did you see whose hands they were?" he asked. She thought of Jaime's green eyes, bright with pain, Tyrion's crooked smile, Tommen's tears, others, less distinct, shapes in shadow, faces half turned away. "Yes," she said slowly, "and no, there were many, as if the world were rolling dice with me, each throw different. But the ending," she swallowed. Her throat hurt, though there was no mark. "The ending was always my throat, always them, always one of them, her little brothers, all of them and none of them. The city burning or standing, dependent on where her body fell." The thought made her want to laugh and vomit both. "I saw the city," she said instead. "King's Landing. In some paths it burned green, in some red, in some it froze. In a few," she clung to the memory like a sure, "Preck sailor to driftwood. In a few it lived." "And did your Grace discern a pattern?" Qyburn asked softly. She remembered the sensation of time branching, of roads taken and not, of the moment when the hands closed around her throat as a pivot upon which everything turned. "In the futures where I died when the hands came," she said slowly, "the city sometimes survived. In the ones where I fought, where I clung, where I—" She bit the words back. "Where I refused," she finished. "It always burned or froze." Qyburn's eyes gleamed. "How interesting," he said. "It would seem, Your Grace, that the witch did not tell you the whole of it." "The whole of what?" Cersei demanded. "This," he said, gesturing delicately at her, at the bowl, at the castle above them. This pattern, this necessity, the prophecy was not simply a sentence. It was a condition, like a lever. Your death at a certain moment, in a certain way, seems to be required for certain branches of the future to remain open. He sounded delighted. Required, Cersei repeated, incredulous. You're telling me the gods, if they exist, have arranged the world so that it stands or falls on the way my throat is squeezed? That my life is some hinge? Why not? Qyburn said mildly. You are not just any queen, your grace. You are a Lannister of Casterly Rock, a woman who has sat the Iron Throne when others faltered. The blood of Aerys Targaryen's line runs in your children's veins. You have ordered the deaths of hundreds, perhaps thousands. You have burned the Great September to ash and remade this city to your image. Why should your death not matter? It was absurd. It was monstrous. It was enticing. All her life the prophecy had made her feel small, a pawn in some cruel game played by powers she could not reach. Now, twisted as the idea was, it offered a different picture. Not of a spider caught in a web, but of the web itself knotted around her. If I must die, she said slowly, then at least I will choose how. Perhaps, Qyburn said, though I would caution your grace against assuming too much freedom. The patterns of prophecy are stubborn. Tug too hard, and you may find they tighten rather than break. Cersei stared at the bowl. The surface had gone still again, dark as a blind eye. How often can I do this? She asked. As often as your grace's strength allows, Qyburn said. The bond is made. Each time you look, you will see something. It may not always be as intense as the first time. Minds adapt, but I would advise moderation. Too much sight and men go mad. I am not a man, she said. Qyburn inclined his head. Just so. She rose slowly. Her legs felt more solid now. The trembling in her hands had lessened. Have this chamber secured, she ordered. No one enters without my leave. Not the guards, not the alchemists, not anyone. If anyone asks what lies here, tell them it is more wildfire. They will be too afraid to pry. As your grace commands, Qyburn said. And Qyburn, she added, pausing at the door. The torchlight caught the bowl's surface as she looked back. For a heartbeat she thought she saw her own neck there, pale as marble, bruises around it like a necklace. She forced herself to look away. Yes, your grace. If anyone else in this city learns of this and thinks to use it. She let the sentence trail off, but her fingers flicked, as if dropping something over a balcony. Of course, Qyburn said, smiling faintly. I shall make certain they fall. Word of the Queen's new gift did not spread at once. For a time it was only Cersei and Qyburn and the bowl. She returned to the chamber the next day, and the next, drawn as if by a hook in the flesh. Each time she steeled herself at the threshold, breathed deep, and stepped into the circle. Each time Qyburn pricked her finger for a fresh drop of blood, murmured words in some language she did not know as he stirred the bowl, then stepped back. Remember, he said once, as she bent over the swirling surface, that the future is not a single road, but a forest of paths. What you see is less a map than a tangle. You may glimpse your way through it, but do not mistake one glimpse for certainty. She almost laughed. Certainty had left her when Ned Stark lost his head. She learned quickly how to fall and how to pull herself back. The first plunge had been the worst. After that, her mind found ways to catch itself, to maintain a thread of self within the visions. She could move, a little, shifting her point of view like a queen walking among pieces on a board. She looked first, always, for her death. It was her lodestar now, the black sun around which other fates orbited. She traced its variations. Jaime, Tyrion, Tommen, shadowed figures, strangers whose names she did not know. Each time she watched how the city fared. Sometimes the bell towers fell, sometimes the walls held. Sometimes the river ran red, sometimes only brown. Sometimes dragons wheeled overhead, sometimes only ravens. She began to test the edges. If in one vision she saw herself ordering the alchemists to move a cache of wildfire and the city burned, she would return to the waking world and give a different command. The next time she looked, she sought the consequences. Patterns emerged. A certain shipment sent north instead of south meant a certain house survived a rebellion in the Riverlands. A marriage delayed meant a bastard that might have been never was, and so a certain knife never found a certain throat in Dorne. Small choices, small ripples. But no matter what she altered, the moment of her own death lurked ahead, altered in detail but never erased. "It is as I said," Qyburn remarked once when she voiced her frustration. "The lever must be pulled. The world seems attached to the idea." "Then the world is a stupid child," Cersei snarled. "It clings to its stories and refuses to see sense. Very well. If I must die, I will drag as many of my enemies with me as I can." "And the city?" Qyburn asked. "Our people, are they mine?" She shot back. "They gossip about me, jeer at me, spit when I pass. They cheered the High Sparrow. They cheered Marjorie and her doe eyes. They cheered for my father's killers and my son's judges. They only call me theirs when they want something. Let them burn." But the visions of the city's green, screaming end clung to her. She had seen children clawing at their own burning faces, had heard the shrieks of mothers trying to find them in streets turned to furnaces. She had seen men boiled in their armor, horses collapsing as their flesh sloughed off, old women cowering in doorways that became pyres. She thought of Joffrey choking on purple foam, eyes bulging, of Myrcella's blood trickling from her nose, of Tommen falling. They had been hers. Once, in simpler days, she had walked among the people and believed, dimly, that the city was hers too. She did not want those particular visions to come true, not because the small folk deserved mercy, but because she refused to let her enemies write her death that way, as a mad queen turning her capital into a grave. She began, grudgingly, to look for paths where both she and the city survived longer. Sometimes she found ones where both burned later, but always the axis remained. Her throat, the hands, the moment, a fulcrum. Other visions came, unbidden, even when she did not seek them. She saw the north, white and endless, a wall of ice taller than any tower. She saw a host of dead things marching beneath a pale moon, their eyes blue and cold, their flesh hanging in tatters. At their head rode a figure crowned with frost and shadow, spear of ice in one hand. She saw dragons flying over Blackwater Bay, their wings stirring storms, their shadows swallowing ships. She saw a man in black, his hair like a crow's wing, standing between storm and night with a sword that burned without flame. In some visions he died, torn apart by claws or teeth or steel. In others he lived and raised his blazing blade as if to cut the night itself. She saw a girl with silver hair and eyes like amethysts, standing on the prow of a ship while dragons coiled above. In some futures she broke the city to rubbles, striding through ash. In others she fell, knives in her back, betrayed in some dark hall. She saw herself in all of it, always at a remove, as if watching a play in which she had only a few lines, some of them already spoken. The more she looked, the more thin she felt, as if each vision took a thread of her and left it behind in some possibility. She grew sharper in waking life, quicker to rage. Wine tasted sour on her tongue. Food turned to ash in her mouth. "Your grace should rest," Qyburn said once, as she swayed leaving the chamber. "Rest is for the weak," she snapped. "Did Tywin rest? Did Aegon the Conqueror?" "Aegon is long dead," Qyburn said mildly. "Tywin too." She glared at him until he bowed. Eventually, inevitably, others noticed that their queen had begun to know things she could not know. Lord Giles Rosby died in his sleep, as she had seen him do, despite the maester's assurances that his cough was only a minor ailment. A small folk riot that might have broken out in Flea Bottom over bread was quelled before it began, the watch already in place at the right moment. A band of riverlords who had plotted together in secret found their letters intercepted and their plans ruined before they could muster. Spies. Mace Tyrell would have muttered once, "You have your informer in my kitchens." But Mace was dead now, burned in the Great September along with his simpering daughter and that pious fool of a sparrow. It was the new Lord Tarly who said it to her face. "A man could be forgiven," he remarked in the small council chamber, "for thinking you had the gods' ear, your grace, or that they had yours." Randall Tarly was a hard-looking man, his hair going to gray, his jaw like an axe. His eyes were assessing, cool and military. "Perhaps they do," Cersei said, taking a sip of wine. Her hand was steady now when she lifted the cup. The bruises in her visions had faded to echoes. "Would that disturb you, Lord Tarly? I prefer my gods in septs and my orders from queens," he said. "If they begin to swap places, men grow confused." "Then do not grow confused," she said sweetly. "You are not paid to think, Lord Tarly. You are paid to win battles." His lips thinned, but he bowed. "As your grace commands." After he had gone, Qyburn said, "He smells it." "He smells nothing unless it bleeds," she said. "But let them whisper if they want. Let them say, 'I see.' It will make them more careful. It may also make them more fearful," Qyburn said thoughtfully. "Fear is a useful spur, but if driven too deep, it can drive men to desperate acts. Rats in a corner bite." "Then I will be the cat," Cersei said. "And if they run to priests or warlocks seeking their own visions, you will find out and you will have them silenced. I will not share my sight with rivals." "Of course, your grace," Qyburn murmured. Word spread all the same. Not in proclamations, but in murmurs among the court, in glances shared between lords when Cersei's gaze lingered too long on a man who later met misfortune. In the way some men crossed themselves twice when they passed her, as if the sign of the seven might shield them from the eyes of something older. Some came to her openly, desperate or bold. A minor lord from the Crownlands whose son lay dying of a wasting sickness fell on his knees before her, tears streaking his cheeks. "Your grace," he sobbed, "they say you can see what is to come. Tell me, will my boy live?" Cersei had not wished to look. The boy meant nothing to her, but the man's desperation stirred something she did not wish to name. She saw the boy in the vision withered and gray, breath rattling in his chest. She saw him cough, silence, stillness. She saw a woman, the boy's mother perhaps, tear at her hair, the house's banner lowered to half-mast. "No," she said, her voice colder than she felt. "He will die." The Lord crumpled in on himself, as if she had struck him. Then tell me, at least, if I will see him in the next life," he begged. "In the Seven's halls." Cersei saw nothing of that. The bowl showed her bones and ash and worms, not shining halls or harp music. "Yes," she lied, "if you serve me well." It wasn't kindness. It was useful to bind men with hope. Still, when he rose and kissed the hem of her gown in gratitude, she felt a weight settle in her gut. She took more care after that. She doled out glimpses grudgingly, like coin to begging hands. She told herself it was because prophecy must be husband, its influence wielded with care. In truth, each vision took something from her, and she resented being asked to bleed for anyone but herself. Even the bowl, though, could not show her everything. When word came that Daenerys Targaryen had taken Meereen and freed its slaves, Cersei looked and saw 100 futures in which the girl never left Essos, bogged down in quagmires of brown-skinned grievances. When word came later that Daenerys had allied herself with powerful men, that she had gathered ships and unsullied in Dothraki, that her dragons had grown, Cersei looked again and saw futures in which the girl's fleet was shattered in storms or by Euron Greyjoy's reavers, in which her dragons sickened and died, in which she was stabbed in some filthy alley before she ever saw Westeros. When rumors reached King's Landing that a bastard from the north had been declared king in the north, had defeated Ramsay Bolton and taken Winterfell, Cersei saw some paths in which he froze or burned in the wars to come, never touching the south. There were other paths too, of course. Paths in which Daenerys Targaryen's shadow fell across the narrow sea as a long, black wing. Paths in which the northern bastard, Jon Snow they called him, stood with his burning sword on the wall while dead things climbed it. She studied those futures more closely. Valonqar, the visions whispered, "Little brother." She thought of Jon Snow, the younger of Ned Stark's supposed sons. Of Tyrion, her own hateful dwarf brother. Of Jaime, younger twin by a matter of moments. Of countless other brothers who stood second in line. The word turned in her mind like a coin, its faces ever-changing. Perhaps it is not singular, she muttered once to the bowl, watching Sandor Clegane's rough hands close around his brother's monstrous throat in some future where they fought and died together in green-lit rubble. Perhaps it is a principle. A what, your grace? Qyburn asked. She had not realized she had spoken aloud. A rule, she said, of stories. Younger brothers killing older ones. You see it in songs. In history, the second sun rises over the first. The world seems to enjoy it. It enjoys overturning expectations, Qyburn said. Men grow bored when the eldest always inherits. Conflict breeds interest. Conflict breeds corpses, Cersei said, thinking of her own boys. That too, he said. If Valonqar was a pattern rather than a person, then perhaps she could diffuse it, spread it out so thin that it had no single point to strike her. She began, subtly, to arrange for little brothers to meet their elder siblings in situations where knives might slip. She sent letters to certain houses in the Westerlands, reminding younger sons of insults they had suffered, hinting at rewards if they brought her their elder brothers' heads. She allowed rumors to circulate that bastards might earn legitimacy through service. She did nothing to prevent rumors about Sandor and Gregor Clegane, about the Hound's hatred for the Mountain, from reaching ears that could make a spectacle of their conflict. In some visions, she saw these efforts bear fruit. Blood spilled on tower stairs and in hunting accidents. Elder sons cut down in duels contrived or real. In none of them did the word Valonqar leave her throat. Perhaps you are simply special, Qyburn said dryly, when she raged at this. The story is particularly attached to you. Then I will rewrite it, she said. The ink is stubborn, he replied. Jaime came back to her on a cold evening when the wind off the bay carried the smell of rain and dead fish. He did not announce himself. One moment Cersei was sitting in the throne room, listening with thin patience to a petition from some fat merchant about tariffs. The next, the great doors opened, and he was there, his golden hand catching the torchlight, his cloak damp from mist. The hall fell quiet. He had always cut a fine figure, her twin, even now when the war and years had left their scars. The lines around his eyes were deeper. His beard was touched with gray. His stride was a little slower, the golden hand heavier. But he was still Jaime, still hers, her mirror, her missing half. Cersei felt something in her chest leap and twist. For a moment all the bowl's visions, all the hands on her throat, all the city's futures, fell away, and there was only him walking toward her. He dropped to one knee before the throne and bowed his head. Your Grace, he said. Your Grace. Not Cersei, not sister, not love. She made herself lean back against the throne's jagged iron, casual and cold. Her fingers dug into the armrests until her nails hurt. Ser Jaime, she said, you remember where the throne room is? I had begun to wonder. He looked up. His eyes met hers, green on green, and for a heartbeat she saw the boy in the cave, the young knight in his golden armor, the lover in her bed. Then the man returned, and the distance in him. I heard you had crowned yourself, he said, with something like rue. I thought it rude not to pay my respects. And what kept you? Her tone was light, but her heart beat too fast. Visions stirred in her memory. His golden hand around her neck, his tears, her own voice Callan. Him little brother. He hesitated, just an instant, and then said, war, mostly, and corpses. The court shifted uneasily. No one liked reminders that their brave knights came back with blood on them. I see you found a fresh cloak, Cersei remarked. The Stark wolf does not suit you. His jaw tightened. I burned it, he said, when I realized what it meant. I thought, he shrugged. It does not matter, perhaps. On the contrary, she said, everything matters. Every choice, every step. Did you not know that? He studied her. You look... He searched for a word and settled on one that was almost honest. Changed. We all are, she said. Kings die, Sparrows burn, cities tremble. How could I remain the same? I heard what you did, he said quietly. In the September, she smiled thinly. You weren't here to stop me. You sound disappointed. I sound accurate, she said. I expected more from my little brother. His eyes flickered. You and that word, he said. You threw it at Tyrion all our lives, as if being born second were some crime. If father had sired you first, the gods might have spared us the dwarf, she said. But then, perhaps they needed their monster. And now, Jaime asked, still need him? Her fingers brushed her throat. In most of the Bull's visions, Tyrion lived somewhere far away, scheming. In a few, he died early, strangled himself, hanged, stabbed. In those futures, the world did not end solely because of that, but Cersei had noticed a certain brittleness to them, as if removing him from the board made some other pivot more fragile. Now he serves a dragon girl, she said aloud. If he lives at all. The last I heard, he was her hand. Jaime's face went very still. Her hand, he repeated. Yes, Cersei said, savoring the words and the way they twisted him. Can you believe it? Our little brother, advising the daughter of Aerys Targaryen. Perhaps they trade stories of how much they hate us. She expected anger. Instead, he only looked tired. I came to ask you something, he said, cutting across whatever she might have said next. In private. Whatever you have to say can be said before my council, she said. I have no secrets from them. They all knew that was a lie, but none dared show it. Jaime's gaze flicked to Qyburn, who stood half a step behind the throne, his hands folded. There was something almost like distaste in the look. Nevertheless, Jaime said, I would ask it in private. Cersei let the silence stretch, making him wait. She felt eyes on them from all sides, courtiers and lords and sycophants trying to read the currents. Very well, she said at last, with the air of granting a minor boon. We will speak in my solar. She rose. The court bowed like a field of wheat under wind. She swept out, her gown whispering over the stone. Jaime half a step behind, Qyburn gliding on silent feet. In the solar, she waved Qyburn away. Leave us. Your Grace, he began. I said leave us, she repeated sharper. If my own brother means me harm, your staggering in here with a candle and a scalpel will not save me. He bowed, skeletal and courteous, and withdrew. The room felt suddenly smaller, with only Jaime in it. For a moment, neither of them spoke. The air between them was thick with unsaid things. You went to him, Cersei said finally, unable to keep the accusation from her voice. To Tyrion. I did, Jaime said. You freed him. You sent him to murder our father. You knew what he would do. I didn't, Jaime said. I thought he would take the chance I gave him and run. I underestimated his hatred. He killed our father, she said. He killed Tywin Lannister. Do you understand what that means? What that took from us? He killed a man who was going to have him executed for a crime he didn't commit, Jaime said, his voice iron flat. Father was not gentle with his mistakes. Is that how you speak of him now? She demanded. Not gentle. Jaime's jaw worked. I have had time, he said, to think on all the things Father did in the name of our house. Not all of them were as clean as we like to pretend. You sound like Tyrion, she snapped. I sound like a man who has seen too many corpses, Jaime said. Some of them with no reason to be dead, except that someone wanted to prove a point. So this is why you came back, she said, to lecture me on mercy. I came back, he said slowly, because I had a dream. Her skin prickled. I do not care about your dreams, she said. You should, he said. You were in it. She wanted to laugh. Of course she was. They had been tangled in each other's dreams since they were children. I know how my dreams end, she said, with you leaving. In this one, he said, ignoring the barb. I saw the city. I was standing on the walls, looking out. The bay was full of ships. Dragons flew overhead. Somewhere behind me men were shouting, and bells were ringing, and someone was screaming your name, but I couldn't turn. My feet were rooted to the stone. And then there was this heat. He trailed off, his eyes unfocused, seeing it again. It was as if someone were heating a sword in a forge, he said slowly. But the sword was the city, and when it grew too hot, it folded, melted, turned to something else or nothing. I don't know. I woke up with the taste of ash in my mouth. Cersei's heart beat faster. The bowl had shown her similar scenes. Dragons and fire and bells. She wondered briefly if Qyburn had spoken with him. But no, Jaime's dreams wore their own stamp. And? She asked, keeping her voice cool. Men dream of dragons all the time. Some dream of falling. Some dream of flying. You always did have a flair for the dramatic. He smiled despite himself. Do you remember? He said. When we used to pretend we could see our futures in the hearth? She remembered the two of them at 9, staring into the flames while snow fell outside Casterly Rock. Jaime H. Ad claimed he saw himself as Lord Commander of the Kingsguard. She had said she saw herself as Queen. They had both been right in their way. Children's games, she said. Maybe, he said, maybe this is too. Maybe the world is just playing another trick. But I've seen what happens when kings listen to voices in their heads. How many burned so that one could be stopped? He did not need to say Aerys's name. It was there like a ghost in the room. Ah, she said. So you heard about the September. I heard, he said. I saw. Half the countryside saw. The sky went green. They say the heat could be felt miles away. They say the screams lasted hours. They exaggerate, she said. Do they? Jaime asked quietly. I remember another time the sky burned over this city. I remember the smell of cooked flesh. I killed a king to stop him doing what you did. And when I came back, I found you on the throne. Cersei bristled. Do not compare me to him. Aerys was mad. He wanted to burn the city because his fantasies had taken hold of his brain. I burned my enemies because they left me no choice. They plotted against me. They humiliated me. They threatened my son. What would you have had me do? Smile and let them? I would have had you? He shut his eyes briefly, then opened them. I don't know. Something else. Anything. It doesn't matter now. They're dead. And you sit the throne. As is my right, she said. You have come all this way to tell me you disapprove. How useful. I came, he said, because when I woke from that dream, I heard another voice. In my head, it said, again. Her mouth was dry. Again, she repeated. Like it had happened before, he said. Like I was standing on the walls watching the city burn for a second time. Only this time, there was no one left to stop it. Perhaps you are the mad one, she said, with more bite than she intended. You hear voices, you dream of fire, you talk to me of kings and choices. Have you taken up prayer in my absence? Not prayer, he said. Memory, perhaps. Of what? Of the day I pushed Bran Stark from a tower, he said. Of the day I killed Aerys. Of the day I freed Tyrion. Of the day I turned my back on you and rode north when you told me you would not fight the dead. I thought I could change, be something else. I was wrong. He stepped closer. She did not move away. We are what we are, he said. You were not made to kneel. I was not made to be a hero in songs. But if I have any use left, it is this, to stand between kings and their fire. To keep the city from burning. I did it once. I failed to keep you from doing it. I don't know if I can do it again. But I must try. Try what? She asked coldly. Her skin crawled. Her visions hissed at the back of her mind, showing her the city burning in different colors. Try to stop whatever it is you are about to do, he said. I see it in you, in your eyes. You look like he did sometimes, when he talked about the wildfire under the city, like you could hear it calling. I hear nothing, she lied. And even if I did, I would not be beholden to it. I use fire. It does not use me. He laughed once, a short, harsh sound. You think you can ride dragons and fire and prophecy itself like a horse, he said. But they're not horses, Cersei. They're storms. Her heart skipped. What did you say? She asked sharply. He frowned. Storms, he repeated. Why? In one of the bull's visions, she had heard almost those exact words in another's mouth. A man with a burn across his face, talking to the northern bastard by a dying fire. You don't ride a storm, he had said, kicking at the coals. You hope it doesn't crack your skull. Nothing, she said. You parrot fool's sayings, that's all. He eyed her. What are you doing, Cersei? He asked. What have you done down there? He nodded toward the floor, meaning the cellars, the depths. Securing my rule, she said. By burning more cities? He asked. By seeing, she snapped. By knowing. You fear what you don't understand. You always have. All your life you let father tell you who you were. Kingslayer, squire, knight. You never asked why. I do. He shook his head. No, you don't ask why. You ask how. How to win. How to hurt. How to take. You never ask if you should. Should? She mocked. The word of septas and cowards. I ask what must be done, and then I do it. And if what must be done is your death? He asked quietly. Silence dropped between them like a stone. In the bull's visions, she had said those words herself. If I must die, I will choose how. She had seen his hand on her throat. She had seen the city in flames when she did not die. She had seen it standing in a few thin threads because she did. She stepped close enough to smell the damp on his cloak and the faint copper tang of blood that always seemed to cling to him. Then I will tear the world apart on my way out, she said. His jaw clenched. That's what I'm afraid of, he said. The war that followed did its best to tear the world apart without her help. Daenerys Targaryen landed in the south, dragons screaming overhead. The Reach burned, then bent the knee, partly through fear and partly because food followed fire. The north marched south again, white banners with gray wolves fluttering beside black ones with burning hearts. Old wrongs came snarling out of the snow. Cersei watched it all in the bowl and on her maps. She played her pieces. Euron Greyjoy with his carrion smile and mad eyes. The Golden Company, more loyal to gold than crowns. Qyburn scorpions bristling along the city walls. Sometimes the bowl showed her victories. A dragon falling from the sky, pierced through the neck. A fleet burning on black waters. Men in northern cloaks lying dead on the Rose Road. Sometimes it showed her defeats. The Lannister lion trampled in muddy fields. Her banners torn down from castles she had never had time to visit. Always somewhere in the tangle. She saw herself in the throne room or on the walls, her throat bare, waiting. You must pick a path, Qyburn said once, when she complained that her sight was only making matters worse by showing her too many possibilities. The more you seek to hedge every bet, the more thin your forces become. Wars are won by committing your grace, not by trying to win every skirmish at once. Do not lecture me on war, she snapped. You've never held a sword. I have held many other things, he said. Hearts, brains, intestines. I know what happens when a body tries to move in too many directions at once. Sometimes she dreamt of the cave even without the bowl. Maggie's laugh, Jaime's hands, Tyrion's voice. Oughtn't you to be used to being choked by now, dear sister? He would say in her dreams. After all, you've lived your whole life strangled by a handful of words. She woke with fingers pressed to her throat and curses on her lips. The first dragon died over the sea, a great black shape tumbling into the waves. The city cheered when the news came. Cersei smiled and drank and let them see her triumph. In the bowl she saw the dragon's body sink, eyes glazing, wings torn. In other branches she saw it live and burn her walls. The second dragon died in a vision first, its neck snapped under a falling tower, and then later in truth, pierced by scorpion bolts from 3 sides as it tried to rise from the streets. Fire washed over stone. Men screamed. The beast thrashed and fell. Daenerys's grief nearly broke the bowl. For 3 days after, whenever Cersei looked, she saw only flame. The girl in the visions walked through ash with her eyes empty and her hair matted. She spoke one word, over and over. "Dracarys, be careful," Qyburn warned. "Her pain is sharp, your grace. You are cutting yourself on it." "Let her bleed," Cersei said. "I have lost dragons of my own." She meant Joffrey and Myrcella and Tommen. She meant Jaime, somewhere in the city or the camp or the future. She meant herself, dying 100 deaths in the bowl. The dead from the north came too in some paths. In others the wall held, or broke differently, or the Night King never reached that far south. Cersei saw Jon Snow and the red-haired wildling fighting back to back on a whited field, both of them going down under a tangle of blue-eyed corpses. She saw them live, bloodied but standing, while the dead retreated before Dragonfire. She saw Winterfell burned, gutted, rebuilt. Sometimes she grew tired of watching and snapped the visions away like breaking threads. Let the north freeze or not. It was far and cold and full of people who had never loved her. "Your Grace," Qyburn said gently once, after she had staggered back from the bowl with a hand pressed to her chest. "If you do not wish to see, you need not. You have enough on your mind." "Do I?" she asked. "Some days it seems I have only this." She turned to him, her eyes burning. "You told me sight was power," she said. "You did not tell me how much it would cost. Would you have refused if I had?" he asked. She thought of the girl in the cave, of the young woman on the September steps, naked and shorn, of the queen on the throne, crown pressing heavy on her skull. "No," she said. "Then the cost was acceptable," he said. "You are here. You are still queen. You hold more cards than any other player on this board. That is not nothing." "It may be," she said, "if the table itself is overturned." He had no answer to that. The last days came as a blur of bells and banners and smoke. The Dragon Queen's host camped outside the city's walls, an ocean of tents and standards. The Northern King's banner flew among them. The dead lay behind them, in some visions frozen, in others turned back. It barely mattered. The war had shifted south. On the walls, Cersei's scorpions waited, needle-sharp, cunningly placed. Men hunched behind them, fingers on triggers. The Alchemists' Guild reported that the caches of wildfire beneath the city were stable. For now. "Stable," she repeated, tasting the word. "Most likely," the pale old man said, sweat beading on his forehead. "Most likely?" she asked. "We have had no incidents," he said quickly. "The wildfire that was used in the September explosion has made the rest restless. Perhaps, but contained." Wildfire was like prophecy, she thought. Once you let it out, it wanted more. Jaime came to her again on the morning of the intended parley. He wore no cloak now, only leather and steel. His gold hand shone in the gray light. "They will want terms," he said. "Who?" she asked. "The dragon girl? The northern bastard? Which of them thinks they can speak to me as if I were a supplicant?" "Both, I imagine," he said. "But I was thinking of the small folk." She looked at him. "They will want to live," he said simply. "That has never been enough to save anyone," she said. "Not you, not me, not the Starks, not anyone. Life is not something you are given. It is something you take." "And if you take it from them?" he asked. "Then they should have chosen a better queen," she said. He closed his eyes briefly. "I had hoped," he said softly, "you would change." "I have," she said. "I see more now than I ever did. I know how the pieces move. I know how it ends." He opened his eyes. "Do you?" he asked. "Yes," she lied. In truth, the bowl had never shown her any future she fully trusted. She had seen too many variations. The only constant was her death. Her throat. The hands. Valonqar. She had one last vision before the parley. She went to the chamber like a woman going to meet a lover. She ignored Qyburn's murmured warning about her strength. She leaned over the bowl and whispered the word like a challenge. "Valonqar." The fall was quicker now, the cave's dark a familiar cloak. Maggie's laughter echoed faintly. The antlered shadow nodded to her like an old acquaintance. She was on the walls of King's Landing. The sky was full of dragons. Two of them, black and green, circled like hunting hawks. Their scales caught the light in a way that hurt the eyes. Their riders were small shadows on their backs. The city's bells were tolling, not the wild, hurried peals of alarm, but something slow and heavy, like a funeral. Cersei stood between two scorpions, their bolts already spent and broken. Men lay dead at her feet, charred and shattered. Smoke writhed around her, thick as wool. In the distance, the Red Keep's towers burned. Cersei, the voice came from behind her. She knew it. She turned. Jaime stood there, armor blackened, hair singed, face streaked with ash and soot. His golden hand was scorched, the metal warped by heat. His green eyes were bright in his dirty face. "You came," she said, hearing herself speak. "Of course," he said. "Where else would I be? Our children are dead. Our father is dead. Our world is burning. Where else would I stand but with you?" She laughed, a broken sound. "You always were foolish," she said. "So were you," he answered. "That's why we suited each other." He stepped closer. The heat made the air shimmer. "Look," he said quietly. She followed his gaze. Across the city, on the far side of the Red Keep, the Dragon Queen's host was pouring into the streets like ants. Northern banners rippled alongside Targaryen ones. Men moved, fought, died. Somewhere, she knew Jon Snow was swinging his sword. Somewhere, Tyrion might be watching, his clever face grave. Somewhere, the Dragon Queen was deciding whether to end this with fire or mercy. "I saw you," Jaime said. "In my dream, standing here. I saw what you were about to do." "What?" she asked. He nodded downward. In the streets below, men clashed. Women ran. Children screamed. The fountains ran red. "It isn't enough," she heard herself say in the vision. "They will not stop. They will never stop. They will take my throne, my life, my name, and spit on them. They will call me mad. They will call me monster. They will build their world over my bones." "Cersei," Jaime began. "I will not give them that," she said. "If I must go, I will take their world with me." She saw her own hand. Two hands, in some visions, one flesh, one gold, reach toward a lever near the parapet, hidden beneath a flagstone. Qyburn's design, a failsafe. One pull, and fire would race through tunnels beneath the city, igniting caches, collapsing foundations, turning the Seven Kingdoms' heart into a heap of smoking glass. Jaime had not known about the lever, not until he dreamed of it, not until the bowl showed Cersei his dreams. Now, in the vision, he saw it too. "That," he said, "is what I came back to stop." He caught her wrist. "Let go," she hissed. "No," he said. "You think you can stop them without this?" she demanded. "Look at them. Wolves and dragons and traitors. They want to erase us. Our name, our line, everything we are." "Maybe they should," he said quietly. "Maybe the world would be better without Lannisters." She slapped him. "You dare," she whispered. He took the blow. When he spoke again, his voice shook. "I loved you," he said. "I killed for you. I broke oaths for you. I threw away my honor for you. I thought we were the same, but we're not. I killed a king to keep him from burning this city. I won't stand by while you do the same. So you'll kill me instead?" she mocked. "Little brother?" The word struck him like a blow. "Is that what you've been seeing?" he asked hoarsely. "In your witch's bowl? Me choking the life from you?" She smiled, bloody and bitter. "In some futures," she said. "In others, Tyrion. In others, Tommen. In some, strangers. In all of them, my throat. In all of them, hands." He stared at her. "And what happens?" he asked slowly. "In the ones where I kill you?" She looked at him, at the dragon-haunted sky behind him, at the burning towers, at the river running red. "In those," she said, "the city sometimes lives." He closed his eyes briefly. "And in the ones where you pull that lever?" he asked. "Everything burns," she said. "Green, red, black. The river boils. The dead feast for years. He opened his eyes again. "They're not much of a choice," he said. "Your death or the end of the world." "I know which I prefer," she said. He flinched. "Of course you do," he murmured. "You always did prefer yourself. That was half your charm." He tightened his grip on her wrist. "Let it go," he said again. "Come with me. We can surrender. Or flee. Or something. Run," she spat, "and live out our days as trophies in some northern hall? As prisoners? As beggars?" "No." "Then what?" he asked. "Then we do what we were born to do," she said. "We choose. We do it ourselves." She pulled her hand from his, or tried to. He held on, golden fingers digging into her skin. "You want me to be your headsman," he said. "I want you to be my brother," she said. "My other half. The only one who has ever really seen me. If the world insists on this play, let us at least choose our roles. If I must die, let it be in your hands, not in some stranger's. If the city must live, let it be because we decided it should, not because some northern bastard and a silver-haired girl decided to be merciful." "You want me to kill you," he said slowly. "I want us to be the ones who decide," she snapped. "Not a witch in a cave, not a bowl, not the gods." He laughed, a ragged sound. "You talk about choice," he said, "but all I hear is you finding a way to obey the prophecy and pretend it's rebellion. Better that than to be its puppet," she said. "Better to stride to the gallows than be dragged." He stared at her for a long moment. The air between them was full of heat and ash and all the years they had shared. "Please," he said. It took her a heartbeat to realize he was the one saying it, not her. "Please," he repeated. "Don't make me." She stepped closer. They were almost nose to nose now. The dragon's shadow, W, passed over them, briefly blotting out the sun. "You always did what had to be done," she said softly. "You killed a king. You broke your vows. You pushed a boy from a tower. You freed our brother. You left me. Do this too. Be consistent." "Consistent?" he echoed with a wild little twist of his mouth. "You always did know how to flatter a man." He lifted his golden hand. Even in the vision, Cersei felt the weight of it on her throat like a ghost. Her breath hitched. "Is this what you want?" He whispered. "Truly? No lies now. Not to me. Not at the end." She met his gaze. Behind him, the dragon screamed. The bells tolled. Somewhere, men were dying for reasons they barely understood. "Yes," she said. "If the city stands because my neck breaks, then let it stand on that. Let them remember that Cersei Lannister chose the noose instead of the torch. Let them tell it wrong and call me coward if they want. We'll know the truth." "We always did," he said. His hand tightened. The vision wavered. For a moment Cersei saw another path superimposed. Herself ripping her hand free, slamming it down on the lever, laughing as the first roar of wildfire thundered up from the depths. She saw the city blossoming green, her own hair catching fire, her skin cracking, her eyes boiling. She saw the north freeze under the march of the dead, dragons falling from the sky like stones, men and women cowering in caves while the wind outside sang with teeth. She saw, in one thin thread, the city standing, scarred but solid years later, children playing in streets built over old graves. She clung to that thread like a drowning woman to a plank. "Do it," she whispered, his eyes filled with tears. "I'm sorry," he said. "Don't be," she said. "For once in our lives, we are doing something for someone other than ourselves." His fingers closed fully. Darkness rushed up. The bowl's surface shattered. She came up gasping, as if she had been underwater. She was on her knees in the chamber, her hands clawing at her throat. No marks, no bruises, yet the ache was there, deep and old and future. Qyburn crouched before her, his face pale. "Your Grace," he said. "What did you see?" She could not speak at once. Her lungs burned. Her heartbeat pounded in her ears. The echoes of the bells still rang in her skull. When she finally found her voice, it sounded raw. "The end," she said. "And the choice." Qyburn's eyes gleamed. "And he asked. She laughed, a broken sound that startled even her. And I die, she said, but not the way I thought. Not like a rat in a corner, clawing at invisible hands. Not strangled by some dwarf crawling up from a hole. I die because I choose to, because I let him. Him? Qyburn asked. Tyrion? The Northern King. My little brother, she said. The one who mattered. The one who stood beside me when we came to that cave. The one whose hand I've held all my life. She looked at Qyburn. The prophecy was right, she said. The Valonqar will choke the life from me, and if I fight it, the city dies. If I accept it, it might live. Qyburn's mouth pursed. Your Grace has never been one to accept anything she did not want, he remarked. Perhaps I've been a fool, she said softly, always thinking I could twist words and men and fate itself to my will. Perhaps the only thing I have left to twist is how I die. He tilted his head, examining her as if she were a specimen. You are speaking of sacrifice, he said. It does not sit easily on you. I am not a septa, she said. I am not a mother who throws herself in front of a cart for her child. I am Cersei Lannister. If I die for this city, it will not be because I love it. It will be because I refuse to let anyone else write the story. If my death is the lever, then I will pull it, not them. Qyburn's expression was almost admiring. It is fitting, he said, in its way. One more act of control, even at the last. She pushed herself to her feet, legs shaking. The parley is at noon, she said. Send for Jaime. Tell him to meet me on the walls after. There is something we must discuss. Your Grace, Qyburn said. Are you quite sure? Nothing is sure, she snapped. That's the point. But I have seen enough to know that some things persist. The bowl has broken. She gestured at the dark glass. Indeed, a crack had formed across its surface, hair-thin but unmistakable. Sight has its limits, and so do I, she thought. When the time comes, she said, I will decide. That is all that remains. The parley at the city's gates was a pantomime, as most such things were. Banners, horses, armor polished to a shine. The Dragon Queen with her silver hair, sitting tall in the saddle, dragons circling overhead. Jon Snow at her side, in blackened furs even in this southern heat, eyes shadowed. Tyrion stood before them both, small and steady, a hand on his sword hilt as if he knew it was for show only. Cersei faced them on the walls, her crown heavy, her gown immaculate. She had chosen Lannister red for the day, the better to hide any blood. Terms were offered. Surrender in exchange for mercy, a word that tasted false in her mouth. She listened, smiled, refused. You burned a city's holy place without flinching, Tyrion called up to her. You think we would trust any promise you made? You freed our father's murderer, she shouted back. You think I would trust you? His grin flashed, bitter. You're the one who keeps coming back to this, dear sister, he said. I'd almost think you were obsessed. He raised his hands, as if choking an invisible neck. The gesture made something crawl along her spine. Valonqar, she called down sweetly. Do you practice in your spare time? His face flickered. He did not understand the word's weight as she did. How could he? Jon Snow's gaze moved between them like a wolf watching two cats hiss. The Dragon Queen's eyes burned. You sit in there on a throne of swords while the dead march and the living starve, Daenerys shouted. You burned the September, you murdered your enemies, you have spilled blood in every corner of these kingdoms. No more. Come down, bend the knee, and I will show you mercy. Refuse, and I will rain fire on your city until nothing remains. Cersei looked at the dragons overhead, their shadows drifting like storm clouds. She thought of the bowl's visions. Flames, ash, bells. You talk of mercy with a dragon at your back, she said. Tell me, Silver Girl, when your father begged for mercy on his knees, did he get it? Daenerys's jaw set. I am not my father, she said. No, Cersei replied. You are worse. Ares dreamed of fire. You were born from it. Do it then. Burn me. Burn us all. Show them how kindly a dragon queen rules. She turned and walked away before they could answer. Behind her, the court rustled like frightened birds. Jaime's footsteps followed, a half-beat delayed. In the tower, alone with him, she let herself sag briefly against the stone. Well, she said, that went about as well as could be expected. You taunted the woman with the dragons, Jaime said. Some would call that unwise. Some would call it inevitable, she replied. He studied her. There was a new weight in his gaze, as if he were looking not just at the woman before him, but at all the futures she might yet walk. What are you going to do, Cersei? He asked. She looked at him. Do you remember the cave? She asked. He blinked. Maggie's cave, he said. I haven't thought of it in years. I think of it every day, she said. I thought I could outrun it. That if I killed Tyrion, if I smothered Marjorie, if I crushed every younger, prettier bitch that tried to take my place, I could prove it wrong. I thought if I burned the September, the gods themselves would choke on the smoke and leave me be. And, he asked, and the word followed me, she said. Valonqar. Little brother. She touched her throat. I tried everything. I tried to smother it under wine, under power, under crowns. It kept crawling up. She met his eyes. I see now, she said quietly, that I have spent my life fleeing something that could be used. Used, he repeated. As a weapon, she said. As a shield. As a choice. She stepped closer. I have a lever, she said. Qyburn built it. One pull and the wildfire under the city ignites. It will burn them all. Dragons, wolves, small folk, courtiers. Me, you, them. She gestured toward the window, toward the camp, the host, the dragons. Jaime went white. You've become him, he whispered. You've become Ares. No, she snapped. I am better. He wanted to burn the city because it defied him. I will burn it only if there is nothing else. If my death means nothing. If the city will fall regardless. If the world ends no matter what I do, why should I not take my enemies with me? And if it does matter? He asked. If your death makes a difference? She smiled, thin and hard. Then I will let you kill me, she said. The room went very silent. You're mad, he said finally. Probably, she agreed. But not blind. I have seen it, Jaime. In the bowl. In dreams. In the way the world tugs. My throat, your hands, the city burning or standing around us. I thought I could avoid it. Now I see it is the only card left to play. If I must be the hinge, let me swing in the right direction. He stared at her as if seeing her for the first time. You saw me, he said slowly. Killing you. In many futures, she said. In some you refused and we burned. In some you hesitated and others pulled the lever while you watched. In some you embraced it and broke my neck and the city stood. Sometimes. Not always. The future is not a tame beast. But those threads are there. They exist. He reached for her, then stopped, as if his golden hand had become suddenly. Error in message stream. Retry.